Dawn of the Wolves. This is not a very popular story of mine. On none of the websites that I am participating in is it got a lot of views. It's got no reviews. And that's not particularly surprising because I pretty much antagonized both camps of The Last of Us 2. And see, this commentary might less be about the story itself and just more about the discourse of The Last of Us 2, but I will touch on the story a bit. So, first of all, why I wish people would be a bit more open minded, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Abby is a hated character by many because of the way she kills Joel, not just because she kills him. I have a feeling if she just shot him in the back of the head, a lot of people would hate her, but they wouldn't despise her the way they do because she beat him to death with a golf club. So I did my best to find nuance in Abby's character, to redirect her attention away from Joel, and it takes something as big and as powerful as the Death Note to do that pretty much. And she kind of becomes more concerned about her own survival because of what Isaac can do. I would say the main point of the story is that these are great characters in my opinion, but I wasn't a big fan of The Last of Us 2's story. I liked the characters, I liked the world building, I loved the gameplay, that was a lot of fun, but I just wasn't a huge fan of the overall plot. And I feel like as someone who had mixed feelings on The Last of Us Part 2, I really don't have a place in the public discourse with it. Because, like, you have to love or despise this game. It has probably the most toxic discourse in all of video games, and one of the most toxic discourses in all of pop culture. So it's really hard, or almost impossible, to have a nuanced discussion about the merits of this game. So I decided to write it out instead. This story is basically my way of saying I didn't love The Last of Us Part 2. I didn't hate it. I thought it was all right. And I'm trying my best to give these characters a second win in their own setting. I want to give them their chance to shine. So let's talk a little bit more about the story. Candle for Leibowitz is one of my favorite books of all time. I just love the post-apocalyptic setting and the way it mixes religion. Like, even as an atheist, I just love religious fiction when it's done correctly. And of course, I mean, why wouldn't I? It's awesome. The chapter titles, you may notice the last ones are reversed from Mechanical for Leibowitz. It's Fiat Voluntas Toi first, then Fiat Lux, whereas in the original book it's Fiat Lux, then Fiat Voluntas Toi. I know my Latin is probably terrible. Apologies in advance. And that's because I wanted to end... I like ending my Last of Us stories optimistically, or rather, I ended 2 out of 4 of them optimistically. 2 I ended pessimistically, and 2 I ended optimistically, and that kind of seems like a nice balance. And I will admit that, like, it is a bit of an ask to get you to accept that, like, the wolves could have reclaimed America like that, and then the communes of Liberia could have. But, you know, Death Note can do a lot of weird things, and the infected, it's mainly an issue of resources and the fact that there's just so many of them. That could be combated by, I think, a determined government with a lot of resources, which is what I try to imagine emerging here. The idea of Ellie and Abby being friends just comes from the idea that we are products of circumstance, and if you had taken a different path in life or something different had happened to you, you might not feel as strongly about the person that you despise or that you love. Just something to think about. Thanks for listening.